I want to get right to it. So we were very excited to see you at the GOP debate, and you were speaking some rare truth that people don't. So I just want to play a little bit of it, and we'll get into it.
That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform.
So that's used. Let me say it one more time.
That the Great Replacement theory is not some grand right-wing conspiracy theory, but a basic statement of the Democratic Party's platform.
Okay, so now, when you said that, the Great Replacement theory, how would you define what that is?
Yeah, I would define what I was certainly talking about as a theory that basically says that if you displace certain native white populations in the United States with immigrant populations, that's a path to lasting electoral majorities and electoral victories for the Democrat Party. And that's exactly been a statement of the Democratic Party's intentions for about the last at least 10 plus years. Going back to, I got this philosophy, Jimmy, is when you want somebody's beliefs, a good rule to start with is just take them at their word, that when they say that that's their belief, actually believe them. That's what Joe Biden was saying 10 years ago with Mayorkas by his side, from Stacey Abrams to left-wing publications. They've been saying this for years, that over the long run, this would be a path to lasting Democratic victories. And so I think we should debate it on the merits. Is that desirable or not for the United States of America? But instead of having that debate, what they've managed to do now is to say, as they've often done, oh, no, if you're stating what I'm already advocating for, somehow you're a fringe conspiracy theorist. I reject that. I don't think that's good for our politics. We should be able to have an open disagreement on a policy debate, honestly acknowledging that there is a policy agenda at work, and you can decide whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing, but at least get the facts on the table of what's actually happening so we can debate it.
Okay, so hopefully I'll be able to interrupt you more to make you feel more like you're on CNN going forward.
Yeah.
But
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
Can I say one thing about CNN since you brought him up? About this topic on the Great Replacement theory, Jimmy, before we move on from it?
Sure.
Yeah. So after that debate stage, actually in the spin room, I went and did an interview with CNN. And I hit several third rails that CNN lost their mind on, but this was one of them. And so the woman, Dana Bash, spends like 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes grilling me on how this was just a conspiracy. But then I explained to her a lot of facts from like here exact quotes from Democratic strategists. And then she just pauses and she says, well, I'm not going to use the word, like as in Great Replacement theory. But let's just say for a second, let's suppose what you're saying is true. What's so wrong with that? Which I thought was a brilliant moment because that's exactly the debate we should have been having the whole time. But that doesn't happen anymore. And part of my job in this is I think sometimes many conservatives are a little sloppy when they talk about these concepts. I think we need to speak about these with precision. But once we do, I think we can have honest debate in this country that we're not having.
So I remember them saying, when I used to vote Democratic, I remember them saying, especially about Texas, that demographics is destiny, which is, I think, is just another way of saying replacement theory. Well, Van Jones really took exception to when you said that, and I want to play that right now.
Smug, condescending way that he just spews this poison out is very, very dangerous because he won't stop Trump, but he's going to outlive Trump by about 50 years. And you're watching the rise of an American demagogue that is a very, very despicable person. Yeah. And I was shaking listening to him talk because a lot of people don't know that is one step away from Nazi propaganda coming out of his mouth.
Wow, so you literally made Van Jones shake. You caused a Jones quake. I don't know if you know that. It's nice, but I think it's nice of him to say you're going to live long, though. I bet he can tell you work out.
Richter scale of 8. That's the kind of shake we got into Van Jones. There's a funny thing. I hadn't paid attention to this guy until a bunch of people sent me that clip, and I saw it on social media. And so who's this Van Jones character? I discovered something funny, actually, which is interesting to bring this full circle. One of the things that I said on that debate stage, which was this supposed conspiracy theory, it's just a statement of fact, actually, based on declassified documents, was that the U.S. government was not straightforward with the American people about what really happened on 9/11, that there was Saudi Arabian involvement because a Saudi intelligence agent absolutely received 2 of the hijackers. It's a side point, not a core point of this presidential campaign. But the funny thing is, to bring this full circle, Van Jones is calling me a conspiracy theorist. He actually got booted from the Obama White House for actually questioning some of the official narratives on 9/11. So it's funny how these things change.
I remember that. I forgot about that.
So I do.
It's
I remember.
Interesting. So it's fascinating as heck, And so I was just like, who's this Van Jones guy? He seems to sound like a clown and a joker to me, but I always give people. I always have a sense of curiosity about people.
Shill.
He's not a clown. He's not that funny, but he is a paid shill. And here's what you
character Van Jones on CNN afterwards saying, "This is the rise of an American demagogue who's going to live 50 years longer than Trump. This is dangerous. I am shaking." That's what he says. Just shut the up. At a certain point, just shut the up.
Okay, language, but I want to just show you this because Van Jones actually did say exactly the thing that you're claiming the left was saying. And here, let me play it for you.
That's basically the request from the racial justice left, is that we want the white majority to go from being a majority to being a minority and like it. That's a tough request. And the reality is that change is hard. Change that you want is hard. Change that is good is hard.
Boy, talk about the pot calling the kettle smug.
Be careful with that, or you're going to get yourself in some trouble.
So he calls himself the racial justice left. I thought the whole problem with the justice system was how overly racial it was in the first place. But here we are. So there he is saying the exact thing that you said, and he's calling you a Nazi for basically quoting him. How do you respond to that?
I responded to that by saying the hypocrisy is rank, but it's familiar. I mean, you saw this in the critical race theory debates around schools as well, right? Because they would say conservatives want to ban critical race theory, and then they would say, oh, that's not critical race theory we're treating to kindergartners. It's something else. Well, okay, fine. This is where conservatives, I think, got to be a little more precise, and that's why I see my role in this is actually hitting the nail a little bit more on the head. But they're good at trolling conservatives by effectively saying the very thing that is true. It's a conspiracy theory when your opponents say it, a conservative says it, but it's just a policy statement when you say it. And so I think that the left has always been verbally, at least at verbal jujitsu, maybe thought of themselves smugly as being a half step ahead. I don't let them get away with that. And so I believe in having the debates on the merits, use their own words, take them at their own word, and then let's actually talk about whether this is right or wrong policy. I think it's wrong policy. But either way, we should be able to air that dialogue instead of actually avoiding the debate by labeling it racist or xenophobic or homophobic or transphobic or dangerous or climate denier or making Van Jones shake. That's not a basis for eliminating an argument. And, that's the way I roll.
You're sounding very white supremacy, but
I'm sure I look like it to you, too.
You're the worst.
That isn't the white supremacist calling the kettle brown.
Have you been called that yet?
You haven't been called.
It's come up a couple of times. Oh. I asked them if they actually turned on their camera feature when they were talking to me.
Okay. Come see us do a live stand-up show. We'll be in Venice, California, Palmdale, California, Omaha, Des Moines, Milwaukee, Lansing, Bend, Oregon, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, Boston, Massachusetts, and we're going to Europe. Do you live in Europe? We're going to be there. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets.